The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke and Kevin Price. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
We're halfway through the 24 football season, which is hard to believe. Every region in the 912 coverage area has already started region play except 2A Region 3, and they'll start next week. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, and I've got a great show for you tonight here on Air with 912 Sports. We still have 6 teams that remain undefeated. Those teams are Camden, Clinch, Coffee, Long, Pierce, and Richmond Hill. Congratulations, guys. You guys keep up the winning ways. Once again, I'll be filling in for Evan Smoke this week for his scoring recaps, and also I'll be passing along his picks for this week's Game of the Week. The 2024 City Championship will be held this Friday night between Brunswick and Glenn, and Evan will be picking that game. Right now, Evan is 3-2 on the season. He lost last week as he chose Jeff Davis, and Brantley County, with the biggest shocker in the state of Georgia, took down the Jeff Davis Yellow Jackets 28-21. Head writer and podcast host Kevin Price and I will break down all the games for September the 27th. And also, the new edition of 912 Sports Magazine is out on newsstands now. This month's issue features Caden McGaffin, the Pierce County quarterback, on the cover. So pick it up and check it out. But y'all stick around. We've got a great show for you. We'll be right back after these messages.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robertson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Welcome, sports fans. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, and I've got the scoring recaps from September the 20th, 2024. We're going to start off with the Appleton County Pirates. The Pirates got back on the winning side of the ledger, taking down Swanee High School out of Florida. Appleton 35, Swanee 16. The Bacon-Thomasville game was canceled after some social media threats were made. Next game up was Bradwell, traveled over to Statesboro. The Statesboro Blue Devils come away winners 41-36. Jeff Davis and the Brantley County Herons were our game of the week last week, and the Brantley County Herons, in a shocker, the biggest upset in the state, wins that game 28-21. When Brantley went into that game, they were 31-point underdogs, according to Georgia High School Daily and the Max Prep system there. So congratulations to Coach Shore and them getting win number 1 on the season, going 1-0 in region play. The Brunswick-Greenbrier game was a lot closer than everybody expected. Brunswick traveled up to Greenbrier and sneak out of there with a 21-14 win. And the Coffee County Trojans stay undefeated on the season as they beat Mainland, Florida. This was a matchup of 2 state championship teams from last year. Coffee from the 5A in Georgia, Mainland from 5A in Florida. Coffee comes away winners 10-7. South Effingham and Effingham County, they had a battle of the, Effingham County there. And Effingham Rebels come away winners 47-0. Frederica got back on the winning side of things as they take down Brookwood 41-14. Lakeside Evans goes into Glenn County Stadium and beats Glenn Academy 28-14. Liberty puts win number 2 on the board for this season as they beat Islands 21-0. The Long County Blue Tide remain undefeated 30-17 over Beach. McIntosh, the Buccaneers get back on another win streak here as they take down Scriven County by a final score of 32-14. Pierce County had all they wanted as they traveled over to Quitman, Georgia to take on the Brooks Trojans, and Pierce escapes with a 3-point victory with only 1 second on the clock. Garrett Stevenson hits a 47-yard field goal to make the Bears winners 17-14. Buchholz out of Florida came all the way up to Richmond Hill and traveled all that way to get a loss as Richmond Hill downs Buchholz 35-28. And it was Lincoln Tallahassee. The Trojans out of Tallahassee came into Memorial Stadium this past Friday night and handed the Ware County Gators their 3rd loss of the season as the Gators go down to the Trojans 10-0. That's going to wrap up our scores for September the 20th of 2024. Kevin and I will preview all the games coming up for September the 27th. So stick around. We've got more On Air with 912 Sports coming up right after these messages.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Spoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing this evening?
Good, Sean. Good to be here talking high school football season, rolling right along, getting into the thick of a lot of region play now. So should be an interesting, last several weeks as we see how, things shake out in all of our leagues around here, and should be some interesting region races for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, Kevin. This is like halfway of the regular season, this Friday night. So we'll see how things shake out. But let's jump right into the games on slate for September the 27th. We're going to start off with Fitzgerald at Appleton County. Appleton was able to get back in the winning column last week, Kevin. They went down to DeLand 2 weeks ago and lost to a Florida school. They invited another Florida school to come to their house this past Friday night. I believe that team was called Swanee High School out of Florida, and they were able to get a big win. But they're going up against a powerhouse here. Fitzgerald has played for a 2A championship, won a 2A championship here a couple years ago. They did move down this year. Now they're a single A Division I team, so they dropped down a division. But still, this is two powerful football teams going at it there at Jimmy Swain Stadium in Baxley on Friday night.
Yeah, for sure. Fitzgerald lost just one game on the season so far. That was to Irwin County, another, perennial power down here in Southeast Georgia. They've won 3 games since then. And, of course, I guess they've had an off week at least once like everybody else. Appleton's lost a couple of games, one to the Florida school, one to Ware County, but we still know they're one of our better teams in our coverage area. Both of these teams ranked in the state in the top 10 in their respective classifications. So, from that standpoint, a great non-region matchups here, one of the few, on the docket. But when you look at this Fitzgerald team, not giving up a whole lot of points, so they are tough on both sides of the football. I looked up the overall series between these two teams, and actually Fitzgerald leads it 13-20 and one tie, but they have not played since 2005. And, the coach of that team was actually Robbie Pruitt at Fitzgerald, and they played in back-to-back years, and Robbie Pruitt's Fitzgerald team beat Appleton County back-to-back. So a Fitzgerald team coached by a Pruitt has not lost to Appling, so we'll see if Appling can kind of end that Pruitt hex that's kind of hanging over them a little bit.
Exactly. Tucker, the head coach now there at Fitzgerald, so we'll see if he can keep the Pruitt ways of winning there over Baxley. But next game up is Berrien at Bacon. Kevin, this is a weird situation. Bacon game got canceled against Thomasville. A lot of social media, crap was involved in it. I don't know all of the tickers. I'm not going to get into it, but there's no place for this kind of crap to happen in high school football. People have got to be better. Adults have got to be better. Kids have got to be better. There's just no place for that kind of garbage to interfere with football, but yet it did last Friday night. And so Bacon will get back on the field against Berrien, hosting them at their place this Friday night. Greenbrier, really the surprise team, or maybe one of the surprise teams in the state of Georgia, gave Brunswick everything they wanted last week. They get Bradwell at home, or they got to go to Bradwell this Friday night. I look for Greenbrier to get, put one back in the W column over Bradwell. We'll see how that shakes out. And really, Kevin, the biggest surprise in all of high school football in the state of Georgia last week was the Brantley County Herons taking care of the Jeff Davis Yellow Jackets 28-21. It was the first time that Brantley County had beat a top 10 team since 1972. It was the largest margin of victory of any team in the state of Georgia last Friday night, as they were 31-point underdogs. And like I said it, you probably said it, everybody in the planet probably said it. There's no way that Brantley County is going to beat Jeff Davis, but everybody forgot to tell the Brantley County Herons that, and they come away with a huge win. Now they got to keep that momentum rolling, Kevin, as they travel over to Worth County and play another tough region opponent over there in Sylvester, Georgia. But we'll see if the Herons can get it done. But the next game we're going to talk about is our 912 Sports Game of the Week. It's the 2024 City Championship. Brunswick is going to be hosting Glenn. It's kind of weird because they both play in the same stadium. All we're talking about here is the locker room. We ain't talking about no travel or anything like that. But Brunswick will be the home team Friday night. You'll be on the call with the PA. And Kevin, we know is good. We say this all the time. Throw the records out when these two teams meet. It's just like when Georgia and Florida used to play. Didn't matter who was good, who was bad. It was just, one of those games you couldn't really tell until you got there and played it. And I expect nothing any different this Friday night.
Yeah, Sean, there's a lot I could say about this game, so bear with me. I'm going to say a lot, but I'll try to keep it, as brief as possible. But, when you look at this game, first of all, Glenn is the defending city champion now. They upset Brunswick last year in a game that a lot of people thought Brunswick would win. Kind of similar this year. You kind of look at both of these teams coming into the ball game. Brunswick's going to be favored, I think, when we see these point spreads come out later in the week for the high school teams in the state. And Glenn will be the underdog in terms of that. But, Brunswick coming in, playing good football. On paper, you could argue that they have the better team. Glenn coming in reeling. They've had some internal strife going on. I'm not going to get into that too much, but also they're coming off a loss last week or this past Friday night to a upstart Lakeside Evans team, a lot like that Greenbrier team that you mentioned, one of the dark horses now, or that's kind of coming into the limelight in this region to contend for a playoff spot. Lakeside still undefeated in the region and overall after that win over Glenn 28-14 between the bricks of Glenn County Stadium as well. So when you look at this thing, Brunswick's going to come in playing good. Glenn's kind of reeling. Their backs are up against the wall. When you look at this game, Sean, you're right. Emotions always have a big part to do with it. I don't care, who's who, what's what, who's playing for either team, who's coaching either team. The emotions are certainly a big deal, and both teams have to channel those emotions in the right direction and get down to playing, the football that they know how to play. But looking at this ball game, if Brunswick gets off to a fast start, Glenn's going to have to weather that storm and survive and just try to hang in there. If they were to implode early, it could get out of hand. Now, if they were to, hang in there, keep hanging in there, get this game into the second half, it will be interesting then to see how Brunswick handles it. They're the favorite. Do they get flustered? Do they get frustrated if things aren't really going, totally their way, if they're expecting to be up big on the scoreboard and they're not? So a lot is involved with the emotions there. But the bottom line to this ball game is, Sean, Brunswick has to keep playing football like they're playing right now. And Glenn, simply put, has to play better. It's time to put up or shut up for them. They've been inconsistent in practice, and it showed in games. It's time for them now to trend in the right direction, regardless, really, if they win this ball game or not Friday night. They've got to start playing better when you think of what's coming up down the road in the region. Still some more, region games to play. But when you look at this game, Brunswick certainly has big playability on offense, and they've got to continue to see if they can do that, hit those big plays, those explosive plays with their playmakers. But also, I've been impressed with the way Brunswick has grinded out the ball on the ground. They did it against Effingham, only throwing one pass in the second half. They did it the other night against Greenbrier in the second half. Went down the field, all running plays, just behind that big offensive line, grinding out first downs, and eventually found their way into the end zone. So they can really get after you with that run game. Glenn's going to have to tackle well, limit those big plays, make Brunswick snap the ball over and over again. Probably have to get some help either with a turnover or a big play on special teams. And that's just it. If you can make Brunswick punt, that's a win for your defense. You've stopped one of the highest scoring teams in the state, certainly in Class 5A. And then who knows what might happen. Both of these teams have seen things happen on punts, either good for them or bad for them. So if Brunswick is forced to punt, who knows what might happen. But the bottom line is Brunswick needs to keep playing like they're playing. Glenn's got to step up to the plate and play better to have a chance in this ball game.
Yeah, the biggest difference I see in this game, Kevin, is Brunswick knows who they are. They know what kind of football team they are. I think Glenn's still searching for their identity right now. I still don't think they've figured out exactly what they want to be, which is kind of strange. Listen, it usually takes Rocky 3-4 games before he figures out, where they are and what they're going to be. But I still think here in game, what is this, game 6 for these guys? They're still looking for that identity. So we'll see if they can find it on Friday night. If they do, hey, look, they can play with anybody. But like I said, if Brunswick plays their best game, Glenn plays their best game, I still think Brunswick comes out on top. We'll just have to see how it plays out in real time there between the bricks on Friday. But we'll move on, Kevin. The next game up is the Camden County. Let me rephrase that. The undefeated Camden County Wildcats are going to be playing the Valdosta Wildcats on Friday. This will be the first region game for Region 1 7A there. Camden's playing lights out. They do have to go on the road to play over there at Valdosta. We know that stadium, it's got all the ghosts and all the stuff in it. It's just a tough place to play. But we'll see if Camden can go over there and get the win, keep everything, keep that undefeated season alive, and go 1-0 in the region, which is the most important thing for either one of these Wildcat teams there on Friday night. But I like Camden's chances. I think they have the personnel. I think they've got the right coach in place. Not that Jeff Herron was not the right coach. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But, I mean, I really have been impressed what Travis has been able to do. Coach Rowland over there, he's got those guys believing, and they're playing excellent football. So we'll see if they come out on top there on Friday night over in Valdosta.
Yeah, well, this is certainly a juicy matchup. It's got good written all over it in capital letters, and I hope it turns out that way, and I hope it turns out in the way of the Wildcats that are down here in our Southeast Georgia coverage area. And nothing against those other guys, obviously, their tradition speaks for themselves. But when you look at this thing, obviously you got to feel like that home field advantage means something. And so that's going to be something that Camden has to overcome. This will be Travis Rowland's first game over there, playing all those ghosts and all that kind of good stuff. I think he's looking forward to it. I think he's taking the right attitude, the right approach to it. He's a high school football historian in his own right, even though he comes from the state of Florida, and he knows all about Valdosta from that standpoint. But, Sean, when you look at this, 2 5-0 football teams in this game, we're going to talk about another region that's going to be, dog eat dog week in and week out. We always know that this region, the large school region over here that includes Valdosta, Lowndes, Colquitt, Camden, and now, Richmond Hill from our coverage area, and then also Tift again this year. We've known it's always been tough, long regarded as maybe the toughest league in the state. Not so sure it is the toughest league in the state this year. We'll find out, but it's certainly going to be competitive. I think Colquitt might still be the team to beat in a lot of people's minds. They've lost a couple of games, but two good teams. Valdosta's right there. Camden's right there. Richmond Hill's right there. They have what they think might be their best team ever. Lowndes is playing better than I think a lot of people thought they would be. And then, the odd man out, maybe Tift. They got a new coach. They're trying to revive that program. But, exclude Tift, if you will, just from that standpoint. But somebody that's playing pretty good football right now is not going to make the playoffs in the top 4, in this league. But looking at Camden and looking at Valdosta, this is going to be a heck of a matchup. The matchups within the matchups are what intrigue me. You got a good Camden team rolling up the points against a good defense. They're going to see a lot of good defensive lines going forward in this league. Valdosta's got one of those. They've got a talented secondary that their coach simply says is talented, and he doesn't shy away from it. A lot of good athletes running around in there. But when it comes to Valdosta, Sean, the main man, the main cog in their arsenal on offense is Todd Robinson, one of the best athletes in the country, certainly the best athlete or one of the best athletes in this state. They got him playing quarterback because he's probably the best athlete on that team, and they needed a quarterback. He's going to UGA, just so most people know, as a defensive back. But even when he gets to Georgia, they might have to try to find a way to put the ball in his hands on offense, kind of like they did Champ Bailey back in the day, because apparently he can do some things with it. He's improved in his passing game. He threw for over 200 yards a couple of weeks ago against South Gwinnett, but he can run that football, and he's got track speed. He's dangerous in the 100-meter, and I don't know what he runs the 40 in, but probably 4.2 or 4.3. He can fly, so you got to hem him up, keep him hemmed up, not let him dictate the game. That's where it starts for the Wildcats from Camden if they're going to win this ball game.
Yeah, well, one thing about it, one of the Wildcats are going to win this, and we'll just see. We'll just see who if it's the black and gold or the blue and white that win this one. But going to be a good one. That'd definitely be one of the games I would love to be at on Friday night. But we'll move on. You got Charlton at Lanier. Charlton, like I said, is playing decent football. Got to go to the Lanier, who's struggling a little bit. I look for Charlton to be able to win that game. And you talk about another showdown of undefeated teams, Kevin. You got Clinch, got to go into Irwin. This is going to be big-time football. I mean, this is definitely tighten your chin strap up. These two teams are going to get after it, and whoever wins this was going to be in the driver's seat, to win that region. Northside Warner Robins is going to go to Coffee. Coffee starts region play as Northside comes to their place. Coffee was a scare this past Friday night. Barely got out of there against that Florida team. Mainland, I think it was 10-7 was the final in that game. That game actually went in the fourth quarter just 3-0 from Coffee. So a lot of low scoring games around the area. And then Lakeside Evans, who really is probably, them and Greenbrier are definitely the surprise there in Region 2 5A. Lakeside Evans, can they go on the road and get it done against Effingham? We'll find that out. And then you've got Frederica, who's open this week, coming off that big win over Brookwood last week. But let's take a break. We'll come back and talk about the rest of the games. And, hey, the new copy of 912 Sports Magazine is out. It features Caden McGatha from the Pierce County Bears, so pick one up from a location near you. But we'll be right back after these messages. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Welcome to this charming home in Blackshear, Georgia. This home is a combination of modern comfort with inviting warmth. There are 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. The kitchen has quartz countertops, shaker-style cabinets with an island. The open floor plan is accented with a stylish electric fireplace in the living room. The primary suite has a soaker tub, separate shower with glass doors, and a walk-in closet. This home is located approximately 5 miles from Pierce County High School. Call Kim Smoke of eXp Realty today at 912-286-1806 for your private showing.
Welcome back, sports fans. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke. He's Kevin Price, and we're talking about the games for September the 27th. We're going to start off with Thomasville at Jeff Davis. Thomasville didn't play last week, Kevin. Jeff Davis kind of got shell-shocked, beaten by Brantley County. So we'll see what's going to happen here. Thomasville got to go to the Pinelands. They're going to find a bunch of orange and yellow jackets, I'm afraid, on Friday night. So we'll see who can get the win there. Whoever wins that's going to have a leg up in that in that region. So we'll see what transpires there. Liberty coming off a big win, 21-0 over Islands this past Friday night. Now they got to go to Southeast Bullock. Southeast Bullock's playing really, really good football. We'll see who can come away winners there. But hopefully Liberty County can find a way to put one in the W column. Lone County's open. McIntosh County Academy's open. And then the next game up is New Hampstead's got to travel to Perry. When New Hampstead came to Pierce 2 weeks ago, they did not play Rayshawn Terrell. They set him. The more that I look at it, the more that makes sense. If the kid was, had an injury, it gives him 2 weeks to get better now because of that bye week last week. By not playing him that night, actually would give him 3 weeks to get better. And now you get hopefully a healthy Rayshawn Terrell when you go into Perry to start region play. So we'll see if that pays off for the Phoenix and if they can get it done on the road. But the next game we're going to talk about in depth is Pierce County at Vidalia, Kevin. Pierce County with a tremendous win over Brooks County this past Friday night with 1 second on the clock. Young Garrett Stevenson kicks a big, long 47-yard field goal. It goes over the crossbar, and the Bears wind up winning that game 17-14. Vidalia is playing really good right now. I think they've lost 2 games on the season, but they lost to Long, who's undefeated, and they lost to Dodge, who's undefeated. So Vidalia is a very talented team, but back-to-back weeks, the Bears are going to have to get on the bus, make a bus ride over, and play a meaningful football game. So we'll see if the Bears can stay undefeated on the season.
Yeah, they certainly had a battle on their hands last Friday night for sure against Brooks. And look, Brooks is kind of like that Bainbridge team that we've talked about before. They're not afraid of anybody. They'll play anybody, big school, small school. They just look like they were going through some growing pains, maybe a different coach and learning maybe some new things or something. Obviously, our buddy Maurice Freeman now in Alabama coaching, but after doing great there at Brooks for several years. But they got what you usually get from Brooks, and that's a hard-nosed physical football game, and that was good for Pierce. Because they've run roughshod over folks. So to be in a tight game like that, and to have it come down to an opportunity for their kicker to win that ball game there at the Horn, was certainly something. If they get in a tighter ball game, later on in the season against some of the high stakes or in some of the high stakes ball games they're going to play later on, they can kind of maybe go back to that moment. But this Vidalia team, certainly Pierce will be favored, and they should be. But this Vidalia team might give them a battle too. They are certainly battle tested. Like you said, the 2 teams that they lost to are undefeated. That Dodge team they lost to, it was 13-7 ball game. And Sean, they're 3-2 on the year. But when you look at what their defense has allowed, only 9.2 points a game, you would think maybe they would be undefeated. But like I say, they've lost two tough ball games, including that low scoring game last week. But this will be a good test for Pierce. Final non-region test for them before they begin that little region sprint to finish things out here on the regular season schedule. So a good little little tune up for them, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, you can check out the podcast with Coach Ryan Herring on 912sports.net. And he did say, Kevin, just like you said, it was the most physical game that Pierce has played, in a couple of years. Brooks gave them everything they wanted. And he said, on the podcast, listen, you learn a lot more about your football team in a 17-14 game than you do a 48-7 game. They really had not played a four-quarter football game all year long. Every game they had played had running clocks in the fourth quarter. So he was really happy with the way his guys stood up, really happy that they had to go the distance, so to speak, in that game, and found a way to get it done. So we'll see if they can get it done again Friday. But next game up, Kevin, is Tift at Richmond Hill. Richmond Hill, another one of the 912 teams that are undefeated on the season. And listen, we've been talking to Coach Lazard about this team for the last 3 years. He knew that this year would be their best opportunity to make some noise on the state level. Right now, he's got them playing really, really good football. They beat a very, very, very good Buchholz team out of Florida last Friday night. Close game, 35-28. But all that's going to do is make those guys better when they get into these region contests. I know Tift's a region contest, but it's not Colquitt, it's not Camden, it's not Valdosta, it's not Lowndes. So I look for Tift to roll in. I look for Richmond Hill to roll in this game and get ready for some of that stiffer competition that's coming up down the road.
Yeah, I saw Richmond Hill in a couple different ways, I guess, this summer. I saw them over there at that lineman camp on Jekyll that Coach Helton was a part of with Jeff Davis. And, their linemen were there. Their coaches, the coasters linemen were there. And I saw them at one of those OTAs that Brunswick hosted. Good competition there. Ware was there. Thomas County Central was there. And, of course, Brunswick. And then, I saw Glenn play Richmond Hill early in the season. And, every time I've seen them, I've been impressed in one way or another. They got a good, strong front seven on defense. And then, they got some playmakers on offense that can really, run that ball at you between a big offensive line that can control the ball game. The Troop kid is running hard between the tackles. He's had a couple of games already where he's gone over 200 yards. The Caleb Easterling kid, he can catch it. He can run it. He plays defense, returns punts and kicks, I think. He's had some big all-purpose yardage for them this year. So they got the guys in the skills positions to go with those linemen. They're well coached, and they're ready for the battle in Region 1 along with Camden down here in Southeast Georgia. Now, if there is anything called easing into the region schedule, they'll do that this week. They've got the one team that may not have a chance to make the playoffs, and that's Tift, kind of trying to revive that program under a new coach. And hopefully he can get them rolling because they got a proud tradition. But this should be easy for Richmond Hill to go take care of business on Friday night.
Yeah, I'll look for them to be 1-0 in the region after Friday night. But next game up, Evans has got to travel over to South Effingham. South Effingham still struggling. Was really beat up pretty good by Effingham this past Friday night. We'll see if they can get a win against Evans. That game is a Mustang home game, so we'll see if that plays into their hands. Statesboro is going to be open, and then the next game we're going to talk about in depth is Benedictine at Ware. We're coming off a loss last week, Kevin, 10-0 to a very, very good Lincoln team out of Tallahassee, Florida. Really one of the best defenses I've seen in several years. These guys were good. They were fast. They were strong. They played fundamental football, and they held Ware County to not getting their first down until 6 minutes to go in the third quarter. I mean, that's how strong their defense was. But Ware, listen, they are like a mash unit. If you'll go back and listen to the podcast, Jason Strickland there for the Ware County Gators, he talks about, they're going to have to do it with duct tape and baling wire on Friday night because they don't really even know who's going to be able to play quarterback for them. They've got offensive linemen out. They've got receivers out. They finally do have their full complement of defensive players right now, but the offense right now is just kind of smoke and mirrors. So we'll see what happens there. Benedictine's rolling, playing really, really good football. Got D1 guys all over the football field. They do have 2 losses on the year, but by the way, they're to Buford on a 1-point loss late in the game, and then to Raven Gap out of up there in North Georgia, who's probably one of the better teams in the nation. So these guys are battle tested. They come into Ware County. This is their first region game, but Ware's going to have to pull off a miracle with some guys that haven't seen the football field to get a win on Friday night.
Yeah, well, obviously, talking to region races, this is going to be one that we were certainly intrigued by. and looking forward to, because we already talked about the region in the highest classification, but a lot of people thought this might be the toughest region, bar none, in the state in any classification. Got a lot of state titles in recent years in this group, and a lot of good teams that if they lost a couple of games, could be the third or fourth seed coming out of the region, and you would hate to see them on that 3 line or that 4 line as a 1 or 2 seed out of another region playing one of these guys, and that still very well could be the case. And look, it could be Ware County, and I certainly wouldn't want to be a 1 or 2 seed playing Ware County, but hopefully Ware can still battle for one of the top 2 spots in this or in this region and be at home. But yeah, when you look at this game, it looks like their defense is going to have to hold them in this one if their offense is all beaten and banged up like you say they are. And when you look at this game, Sean, I know both of these teams have played rugged schedules to this point. I don't know, though, that I would have bet before the season started that combined they would have 5 losses.
Yeah, me either.
Now, Benedictine lost to Raven Gap, and they may have gotten more than they signed up for in that one. And I think they didn't find out that till they stepped on the field. And then they go up there and play Buford, toe-to-toe. And came down to a 2-point conversion. And I wouldn't have thought that. I'll be the first to admit it after the way the first game went. But they've really, turned it around. They're playing good football now. And much like that, Glenn Brunswick game that we talked about earlier, maybe they are playing the better football out of the two, and it might just be because they're healthier. But, and then Ware, certainly no slouch. I mean, they've lost to 3 great football teams, Coffee and then Bartram Trail and then, Tallahassee Lincoln the other night. And as close as these games may have been, though, these are the kind of games that if Ware is going to finish 1 or 2 in the region, sometime or another, they've got to win it. They've got to win one of these games. And it may not be this Friday night, but it could certainly have to be later on down the line. But obviously, should have the home field advantage here. They do have the home field advantage, but BC's been over there before. And so, they're not going to be intimidated going into the swamp. They've been to a lot of tough places. But, like I say, it's going to be up to the Ware defense to kind of hang in there, keep this one close, and then Ware piece something together and maybe try to win it there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, like I said, listen, if Ware's at 100% and Benedictine's at 100%, I think this is a coin flip game. But Ware's far, far, far cry from being at 100% right now, especially on offense. So we'll see how this one shakes out there at Memorial Stadium on Friday night. But the last game on the docket, Kevin, is Wayne at Warner Robins. Wayne got to get on the bus right up there to Middle Georgia and take on one of the better teams there in 4A, and that's the Warner Robins Demons. So we'll see if Wayne can get one there. But I look for Warner Robins to roll in that contest as well. But that's going to wrap up all the games for September the 27th. Hey, don't forget the new magazine for 912 Sports is out. It features Caden McGaffin, a Pierce County quarterback, on the cover. Pick up your copy or go to 912sports.net, and you can order one offline, and we'll send it right to your house. But that's going to do it for us. Stick around. We've got Evan's picks coming up for Game of the Week right after these messages. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Welcome back, sports fans. I'm Sean Smoke, and I'll have Evan Smoke's pick of the week for this week's game of the week. It is the 2024 City Championship between the Brunswick High Pirates and the Glen Academy Red Terrace. Brunswick's actually going to be the home team this year as they play at Glen County Stadium between the bricks for the city championship. And Evan Smoke is going to choose the Brunswick High Pirates to come away as the victors on Friday night. Evan is 3-2 right now. He's hoping to move to 4-2 with this pick. So we'll see how it plays out. But put him down for the Brunswick High Pirates to win the 2024 City Championship. Stick around. We've got more on air with 912 Sports right after these messages.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.